Call me winner tonight, too.
Just call you winner?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the House races? Congress in session, you run the Congressional Campaign Committee. Your job was to protect the majority in the final weeks. It was to potentially grow the majority. Is it possible that Republicans could net seats?
I think it's possible not only that we'll net seats, but we'll get them in some non-traditional areas.
Right.
We'll get them in places because we fought hard, had a good message. As you know, being on offense means that you get to do a lot of things that you wouldn't normally do, and that is to go into new areas. One of my goals 4 years ago when I became the chairman was to make sure we were a national party with a national message, and I wanted to be about economics and make sure that we sold the fight that way. Obviously, John Boehner's backed it up with an agenda in the House. Eric Cantor, great job. And we've been able to go sell the fight.
Now, with the early soundings we're getting from Virginia and Ohio, you may be the happiest Republican, one of the few happy Republicans in Washington tomorrow.
Well, I want to be happy. I want to be happy because we put a lot of hard work into this. The NRCC for the last 4 years has been about winning. We've recruited great candidates. John Boehner, Eric Cantor have stuck there with us. We've done a lot of things that a lot of people didn't think we could do. Winning it back twice, which is what you have to do. If you won it in the first place, you got to re-win it back and prove you can do it.
Give us an example of that. I mean, for those watching on C-SPAN, the congressman runs the National Republican Congressional Campaign Committee, controls a vast majority of the money that gets spent in those states. You help recruit the candidates. You help groom and train the candidates. Use one district where you feel like you're going to win tonight that people thought you wouldn't win in 3 or 4 months ago, and talk about how do you do that? How do you go about getting the right candidate and then beating particularly an incumbent, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, what you do, it is a complex issue, and there are a number of variables. For instance, we had redistricting that sometimes took some of the steam out of us and sometimes added steam. I think that if you look at what we've tried to do in North Carolina, a development of races against incumbents who were going to run, but we had to go and prove to the voter that what we stood for was better than what their member of Congress stood for. Obviously, we use votes. The best vote is the Obamacare vote. The Obamacare vote, we had then some 23 votes where a member could decide whether they were going to reject certain pieces of that, and that told a story.
Congressman,
so we've been able to use those stories.
The exit polls showed about even between voters today whether they thought Obamacare should stand or expand, or whether it should be repealed fully or partially, 45, 47, 47, 45 the other way. What do you see that makes you go, the health care vote is the best vote out there for us, when the national polls suggest it's pretty even?
Well, once again, you have to tell the voter the story. And the facts of the case are we'll lose some 800,000 more jobs in America. It cost $3,000 billion over 6 years and has put our country where we're the ability that small business has to make decisions and put them in an uncertain mode to where business is not hiring. Those are the facts of the case. And I think we effectively went and sold those concepts all across the country with our candidates. We learned how to defend ourselves also against the Medicare attacks and to go on offense. So it's staying on offense, every bit of this, and that's what our candidates were good at, and we backed them up with great votes and the ability then to collect more money that was ready on Election Day against the Democrats to spend it and give that message.
What's the next chapter for you? You had a successful run in the last election. You brought a House majority. I think a lot of Republicans believe that holding the House majority, maybe picking up a seat or two, maybe losing a few, is also a success. What's the next chapter for Pete Sessions?
I'm definitely going to sleep in tomorrow morning and for a few days. I have always believed in winning. John Boehner's doing a great job. Eric Cantor is doing an awesome job. We have much work when we reorganize and figure out where we're going to head. I intend to be in the thick of it and to make sure that we as Republicans stay on offense. Certainly want to help whoever takes over at the NRCC. It's my guess it'll be Greg Walden, who's been my deputy for 4 years. I promise Greg I'm available to help just like he helped me.
Do you want to be Rules Committee Chairman?
We're going to worry about that when tomorrow comes.
That's a yes.
You've worried about that before.
I'm not the least bit worried about a thing except winning tonight. The successful rain dance has a lot to do with timing, and that's what this is all about. We're aiming for victory all across this country. Have a lot of people still on the board and we need to get them across. So that's what I'm worried about. And then we'll worry about tomorrow.
And give us a final prediction. How many do you think you end up losing seats, but just narrowly lose a few seats?
As you know, we defeated 63 net Democrats last time, so we picked up a bunch of seats.
Right.
If we hold our own tonight, we've done a great job. But let's say pick up 5 to 7.
You net 5 to 7?
Still netting 5 to 7 tonight.
Wow, it's bold.
Hey, look.
If you do that, you can have more than the rules committee.
You know what? We'll see what happens.
Let me ask you one last question about the Rules Committee. One of those races is in upstate New York, in the Rochester area, with Louise Slaughter, the ranking Democrat on that Rules Committee that you may or may not want to be chairman of. I think you do want to be chairman of. But is that a race you're going to win? Maggie Brooks, a pretty good candidate up there against Louise Slaughter?
Maggie Brooks is awesome. I will tell you, Louise Slaughter and I get along very well. Louise effectively understands that the chairman of that committee has a lot of tough nights, tough calls, and big decisions that have to be done. I promise you this, that the way John Boehner also wants that committee run is where we allow feedback from every single member, and that means a modified open rule. We need to continue the process where every member can be a professional and make sure that we do the right thing, and Louise will be for that.
So no prediction of a Maggie Brooks victory tonight?
You know, I haven't seen any numbers from there, but I will tell you this. Republicans are going to hold the House. John Boehner will be the Speaker, and we're going to go and get this thing done.
And Congressman, as you said to Politico earlier today, you may need some folding chairs on the Republican side.
Well, that's what our mission statement is. We want to take our half of the floor, fill it up, and then have folding chairs up and down the aisles. That's our mission statement, so we're going to stick to it.
Thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you guys.
us.
Good luck.
Sessions.
You bet.
Thank you.
There's no doubt that the fact that Republicans have a chance. I mean, I don't know that anyone thinks that they'll pick up 5 to 7 tonight, but if they picked up